and back with our early edition of Type 40 Live, the live stream Doctor Who magazine show, sitting in the crater of the latest season finale on Rumble, X, YouTube, and Facebook, talking all things Doctor Who from the way back then to the right here and the right now, all in front of a live chat full of fellow friends, fans, and companions just like you. And it's over. All over. Certainly is for them. For everybody else, that remains to be seen. Doctor Who's being talked about. That's a good thing, isn't it? Isn't it? We're bringing you more news, views, and banter to help bring you round, staring the good, the bad, and the ugly right in the face. Where are we now? What day is it again? Oh, look at this. You get into the console room and someone's causing all sorts of hassle. Check it out. What's going on? What on earth am I going to do with this? He's obviously to blame. This is going to take some sweeping up. Bloody hell, I blame him. I can't see a damn thing. Hello, everybody. Just nod and say, yes, Dan. Yes, Dan. Hello, I'm Dan Hadley, Birmingham's king of the geeks. I've got some cleaning up to do, mentally and literally, I think, here in the console room. Yeah, it's not getting any better. White. I think I can't do any of it alone, can I? Charlotte, what's going on here?
Why did you vote me in for the best jobs?
Oh. If you get the dustpan and brush, I'll give the boy a slap here. See if we can see what he's been doing.
It needs more than a dust. I think Doctor Who in general now, that is a good metaphor. It needs more than a dustpan and brush. After the
I've looked around for him, but I think he's done a runner. Whoever's responsible for this, it's just gone. Yeah,
some magic plot reason meant he couldn't be here anymore. So.
Yes, it's certainly. I'm sure we'll get to the bottom of it somehow. But hello, welcome back.
Hello.
See ya. Had a good weekend, or the rest of the weekend?
Yeah, the rest of the weekend was good, and I've got this week. I've got Wicked trailer for part 2 coming up, so I've been looking forward to that. Basically,
you're pivoting back to something that makes you happy.
Yeah, my happy place, very much so.
Well, we're going to bring it back around to Doctor Who for a little while again, because this is obviously Type 40 Live, but we're going to be having fun as well. And we're going to take in some more opinions too, Charlotte. But Saturday's show, what a show! That was huge, wasn't it? It was. I think we did only 2.5 hours in the end, but it seemed far longer.
Well, yeah, and it's like in the chat you could tell it was busy, but I don't think any of us really appreciated until like the day afterwards, when you actually could see the amount of people. So if you're a new face or a new voice, welcome, because we did get some new names in that chat. And we hope you enjoy Type 40 and whatever nonsense we come out with. Welcome to the family, very much so.
It is nice to see a lot of new names, isn't it? New names and faces, and new opinions as well, because we don't just say this. All opinions are very much welcome. But we were all rather numb after Saturday, weren't we? And sometimes, a couple of nights sleep, it can make you see things in a different light, can't it? Sometimes.
Oh yeah. Or plot stuff can even get worse in your head. That definitely happened to me this series, a couple of episodes.
Yeah, it has me as well. We've got a couple of people to bring on. We don't know what they think yet. At least I certainly don't. So before we get to them, I'm going to wheel on another regular. We've got Mr. David Milling back on the show as well. He's adopted a position here. There he is.
Hello. Can you just bear with me one moment? I've just got to get something. Hang on.
Okay.
Live stream.
Okay.
No, keep me on.
Okay. I blame him.
Oh, here we go, guys. This is anticipation right now.
Right, here I am. Right, you can put me on again.
Okay, what have you got?
This is Anita. This is my doorstop. Okay.
Right.
She keeps the door open all the time.
Are you sure? Are you sure she's not called Poppy? Because we all have that name now seared into our brains.
No, it's not Dr. Poppy, but this is Anita. Say hello, Anita. Hello. So there you go. Anita's going back over there to keep the door. Hey, it landed on its bum as well. Keep the door open for us, just to keep the air circulating.
That's it. That's the trick. It's funny you should mention Anita. We've got more about her coming up later on. But yeah, you're very valiantly stepping back into the fray already, David. It's good to see you. The other night, things got a bit messy, didn't they? I blame whoever that is. We can just about see in the distance there, making a hell of a mess. And every time I sort of managed to take a better look, it all goes again. I can't make any sense of it.
I think what happened is the TARDIS jukebox started playing "Anyone Can Fall in Love," and that just sort of shattered all the glass around, and that's where we were. Either that or Dug-a-Doo on repeat at very high frequency. I'm doing all right, thank you. I'm bearing up under the strain.
More than the 15th Doctor was, I think.
More than the absolute revisionism we have been gaslighted with. The tremendous revisionism that it's this was always planned. Yes, of course it was.
We'll be getting round to that. We will be getting round to that, I promise. But enough of the Eurovision. I think now it's time that we got Butch and brought in Butch, and brought in somebody who I know can sort it all out. A Time Lord with a lot of swagger and a job. I think we'll find out when we welcome back, after a couple of weeks away, the one and only Anthony Weiner.
Hello, good evening, everybody.
Good
evening.
He is buff as well, isn't he? Oh, God.
Oh, always. I'm in my garden tonight, David. So I thought I'd swing back the doors. It's a very sunny evening here. So after doing some of those shows in October and November when it was freezing cold, and I was literally sat with a hot water bottle on my feet, I felt this time I would swing the doors open. I'd have another cut-off T-shirt and signify that summer is here. So good evening, everybody. It's good to be back.
I thought you were taking a leaf or a blade out of the Doctor's book, or taking Ncuti's advice and, touching grass. There.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. What are the chances with how viral that quote went of his?
Absolutely.
And then they literally have him touching grass.
So we've tracked him down. He's trying to hide, but no, you're not going to get away from us, mate. You've got to account for yourself on this edition of the show. Anthony, I think the last time we spoke to you, we were awaiting both parts of the finale, weren't we? So I can't wait to find out what you've made of it all, because obviously we were very excited about a couple of elements in particular, weren't we? That I think as classic fans in particular, we were all for. So we shall see as it goes on. But you've been out at the weekend as well, haven't you? Doing other things, having a good time.
Oh well, yeah. I mean, I didn't see the episode on Saturday evening, I knew all the stories that were coming. I knew that the Doctor was going to regenerate. I kind of knew that Billie Piper was coming along, but I was trying to forget about it. But I didn't also want to be spoiled either, so I turned my phone off, turned my Wi-Fi off, went to see Kylie Minogue in Birmingham. And was lost in that moment with Astrid instead. Yeah, and then watched it on Sunday lunchtime as soon as I got in.
I can imagine you in front of Kylie doing the big fish, little fish cardboard box thing like that, or doing whatever it is this guy's doing here. I don't know what that's all about.
Yeah. No, I don't know what that's about either. But I had a really good time and I was dancing. So that kind of captures the mood a little bit, Dan.
Anthony, can I ask, did you gyrate to Can't Get You Out of My Head like Ncuti did?
Well, I didn't. But I do have a story, which I was telling Dan about this morning. Kylie Minogue touched my fan.
Wow.
Good for you.
That was good.
Yeah. So to keep that one was for you, David. That one. To keep cool, I had a fan. And
all right, yeah, okay. Not your personal friend that was there.
Not my personal friend. So I had my fan, and I was with my best friend, and we were dancing away. She saw the fan. My friend took the fan, gave it to Kylie. Kylie took the fan. So my fan is now covered in Astrid Peth DNA, and she was flapping the fan as she was dancing and singing, and then gave it back to us.
That's Kylie with the flappy fanny. There you go.
So I immediately Dan and Charlotte, I immediately turned round and I said, "Who wants to buy this? eBay, 45 quid." I got a really big laugh. So I was very, very proud of myself.
You to get it to sign it. Yeah, it's authenticized and all that jazz. Wow.
Yeah.
Brilliant story with another Doctor Who veteran.
What was really interesting though, Dan, is that, you thought this moment would be lost forever, but with so many mobile phones and cameras and stuff, honestly, you could see the scene, Charlotte, multiple times from multiple angles. It's like the internet is awash with the fan being given over, but
somebody's bound.
It was a brilliant night.
Somebody is bound to have captured it for posterity.
Yes,
I think so. Some eager beaver, and speaking of eager beavers, I can't believe this man is still. I can't believe this man is still functioning. Never mind eager, and he does seem very eager. He's smiling. Both his eyes are open. I thought there'd be like two little piss holes in the snow, but he's here. He's vertical, sort of, but he's sat down, which is near enough. Back from foreign climes and from a huge party, a double celebration, which I think he spent most of it flat on his back, and not in a good way. Luke Walters.
Oh, you're muted.
Oh, you're on mute as well.
Oh, hello. Yes, yeah, I'm absolutely dying. Absolutely dying. I knew that Charlie touched Anthony's fan yesterday. He told me while I was walking around Brussels. Yes.
Yeah.
So, hey, I had a moderately great weekend in chunks. So that was, it was fun. It was
chunks,
fun.
yeah.
In chunks. Oh, I thought chunks was the city in Belgium you were staying, but no, it's a
yeah. No, it was fun. It was fun. Watching Doctor Who on Disney Plus is a different experience, shall we say. I watched the Star Beast over there on Friday night. When we got over, there's some bits in it on the Disney Plus list that I did not remember, and I was like, I've never seen these scenes before in my life. I was like, it's just little cutaways, different ones. I was like, I've never seen these before.
That's interesting.
I get that with every episode that's been made since 2011 myself, Anthony. I don't know.
Honestly, I see clips and quotes, and I used to know this series really well, but honestly, I look at some pictures and think, what story is that? I don't remember that one. I'm showing my age.
No idea whatsoever. If none of us can work out where it's from, you can bet they will in the live chat on YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, and X. We're joined by a healthy live chat already, considering we're a couple of days on from the season finale. That's impressive. Of course, it's up there now on Disney Plus to stream and restream over and over again till your heart's content, till it starts to make a bit of sense, maybe. I don't know. So that's the reality war. Now streaming on BBC iPlayer and Disney Plus. They need all the help they can get, everybody. So go and get some more plays in. I think it's up in perpetuity, but you never know. If it causes any sort of any health episodes, they may well take it down or slap some sort of warning on it that it could seriously damage your brain cells. I don't know, but we'll find out what you guys have got to say about it all in a little while. It's been a big week for Doctor Who. And it's a big week for Doctor Who fans as well. I think a great many of them were absolutely out taking sage advice from their doctor and touching grass. But for those of us who were there on the night, it's one I don't think any of us will forget, for better or for worse. Let's head over to the live chat and welcome back some of our good friends over there, and we'll basically see if they're still talking to us.
Welcome to Type 40. Is that good enough? I hope so. Or exterminate, exterminate, exterminate.
Yeah, it's looking quite good. It's looking quite good so far. We've got, Garbage is back.
Hi,
Welcome,
Garbage.
everybody. We've got a hail from Lord Thoth. So, yeah, things look relatively normal. They've made it through to the Zero Room is here as well. And not pulling any punches, right in. Hello. And yeah, I'm not falling for Russell T Davies' two stupid gimmicks, tricks, and twists anymore. I'm out. So is Shooty. So you join the club. There's a queue at the exit. I think a clue at the exit. Lord Thoth was out after Capaldi. I'm so tired, says Thistlebig. So's Luke. He's shagged out, see, mate. Just think how Luke's feeling. Welcome
Swallow
back to the
beds
show.
there, just in case. Second half, I'll be doing the live stream from my bed instead of putting a onesie on. So there you
go. Stephen Braddock's here as well. Good to see you, mate. And we've got a ticker tape here of fellow Doctor Who fans scrolling down. Stephen Braddock's got a hangover. He had a hangover this morning by trying to drink that episode out of his system. Gotcha, Stephen. I don't think that's a scientifically approved method of.
To be part of a drinking game, and so he's recovering from that now.
You've got yourself to blame, pal. Rose is in the live chat. Good afternoon and good evening to everyone on this wonderful second day of summer. Is it British summertime, Anthony?
Exactly. And that's why I thought I'd mark the moment by sat in my garden. So you can see how long this British summertime lasts by how long the doors stay open. So by, what is it now, 20 past 8? By about 8:45, I'll be in my onesie like Luke, with doors closed, and the fire on, and a hot water bottle. So
singing Duggadoo. We'll have a great time.
Always.
Usually, I expect British summertime to last until about a week on Wednesday, David. That's about the longest I'd go with that.
Absolutely. I'm just finding out what time the sun sets. The sun sets in my part of the world at 9:20 tonight. So if you're north of Birmingham, then you can expect that sort of time. So yes, British summertime. Actually, it's the first day of the meteorological. I used to want to be a weatherman. Okay, that's my question for the night. Okay, just coming in from the west. There you go. And the first day of the meteorological summer is obviously the 1st of June, but the traditional start of summer starts on the longest day, which is either the 20th, 21st, or 22nd of June, depending on what the Earth is doing that day.
I tell you something. Sorry. Saturday felt like the longest day to me.
It did.
Tom from T4 Productions.
The longest 66 minutes.
Tom says, I'm worried about the future of Doctor Who. I wish I was the head writer. We wish you were the head writer.
Yeah. Yes.
Tom, please get in there. And Pluto is asking, how is everyone? How are you, Charlotte? Pluto's asking, how are you?
Like I said, the weekend's been and gone, and I've got happy things to look forward to now.
Biscuits are at the ready in Pluto's place. Good to see. We have, Stephen Braddock describing this as group therapy. We do our best. Tom Haynes is in with exciting news. Got the all clear, mate? Good, fantastic stuff. I'm glad to hear it. And and Domgo says, hello, folks.
Tom. Hello, Tom.
Oh, hello, says Aidan McGear. I think that one's for you, Luke. I think that's like your quiff.
Oh, hello.
It's so flat. I just noticed how bad it was before we went on. I just run into the tap horrendously quick. I was like, oh, you can tell I just stepped off a plane. I look like rubbish.
There you go. Oh, I see. So Tom, okay. So this is Tom's good news. I sent a message to Doctor Who Unleashed host Stefan saying I enjoyed Doctor Who Unleashed, and he messaged me back to say thanks, Tom. Well, that's very kind of Stefan.
Yeah, it's good.
Really, really nice to know that people do get back to you with things like that. So good stuff, Tom. Well done. I'm glad you enjoyed Unleashed. I'll have to catch up with it myself over the next day or two. Definitely. Dongo advises there's no brush big enough to clean up the mess Russell T Davies has made. Oh, and we've got other people, definitely sort of doing their own post-mortem on the season finale. Zero Room has a copy of John Pertwee season 1. It ships to him tomorrow. Thank God. Well, enjoy. Is that the first time you're watching it, Zero Room? You have to let us know. John Pertwee was indeed a legend. Got more slaps on backs and people pleased to see one another after all. This is sanity, a long stretch of sanity. We have Nicholas Horton in as well. What's that? I don't know what that is, but it's good to see you, Nicholas. Keep them coming, guys. Keep them coming. And Paul,
I think it's Qatar.
Paul Toastland's back in too. Pluto says you've got a beautiful garden, Anthony.
Thank you very much, Pluto. I grew it all myself, and I actually did, to be fair. With a little bit of, yeah. Ooh. It's all my own design. So thank you, Pluto.
Yeah.
It beats a poster. It beats a poster, doesn't it? I did actually change the June poster this morning for a new one, but you can see that next time.
Oh, looking forward to seeing it. It's a later date. Matthew Butterfield asks, Dan, when's your birthday? Going to buy you the season 2 box set. Thank you. It's been and gone, thankfully. But I appreciate the thought, Matthew. Cheers. We have Russell T. Davies is President Clark from Babylon 5, says Domgo. That's what they call a deep cut. Look, a very, very deep cut. And Paul Toastland says, at least it's over. That's it. Think positive, Paul. Think positive. I think he's talking about, that's his 4-word review of the reality war and maybe of the entirety of the season. I don't know. We've got hello everyone from Matt Potts. Oh, he's up.
Hi, Matt.
Hello.
He's cognizant. It's very early in the morning for Matt. Good to see you, mate. And Gary Akers is in the chat too. Type 40 folks. We could have brought everybody in, couldn't we? If I'd have known they were all up and sober. Fabulous. Well, I suppose it's unlikely, come to think of it. And Barry Jones is in the live chat here watching on YouTube and says, I'm still not sure what I watched. It felt like a comedy parody of who. I was going to say we can help you out. I can't promise that we can, Barry. But we can all kind of churn and chug through it together. That's the mission statement here on Type 40 Live. Okay, yeah, keep them coming, everybody. We want your takes as we find out what these guys have got to say about what we've all just watched as well. There'll be plenty of opportunity to get your tardy reviews in as well, or maybe you've changed your mind about the episode for better or worse in the last 2 or 3 days, because a great many people do go back and rewatch as soon as they can. I'm not one of them. I like to let it sit for a little while, but you do you. You do you. A bit like he did.
Hello. You must be the doctor. I'm Clive, obviously.
Who is it?
Oh, it's something to do with the doctor, if you know what I mean.
That was incredible.
So many
That
bad
was
edits
so good.
of that clip now, of just people doing that exact thing. Brilliant.
That's
I did like that.
Doctor Who poop on YouTube. Please go and say hello and tell them that Type 40 Live sent you, and we think they're great. You probably do as well. You know what else I think is great, Luke? Fabulous YouTube channel I've found lately, Cynical Pictures, and they premiered something a couple of nights ago. Are you aware of this?
Slightly aware. I was in better spirits at the time. It was the end of Doctor Who, which was very apt at the time of the finale. Yes, Doctor Who has come to an end, apparently, according to faithful Roger, who's very masterful in his Time Lord ropes. Yes, it's the end of Hooligans. Hooligans has come to a close. Our 6-part comedy web series is now finished, so it's up free for everyone to go and watch all 6 episodes of it. There's a special episode as well that came out a little bit before. I think it is in 1963 then. No, it didn't. It come out in 2023. Sorry. It came out a little bit before. But yeah, there's 7 episodes there to watch. 6 episodes on the special. So yeah, everyone go enjoy it. It's a bit of fun. 2 Doctor Who fans, maybe 3 that live together, and Doctor Who ceases to exist by the end of it.
People can see it all, or they can go back and rewatch it all, and then watch the new one and get the full story, can't they?
Absolutely. Also, happy. I think David made me aware. I think me and Retro Doc share the same birthday, so happy belated birthday. Well, he's now the Pope, isn't he? So
Gary.
Yeah, he still fits in some time on the panels in between poping.
The Retro Pope. Sorry, he is now the Retro Pope. Bless him. Happy belated birthday to him. Yeah.
Happy birthday, Gary.
We've got a lot of Doctor Who stuff to pick our way through, and we'll sort of scatter it and garnish it with other nonsense. There's lots of new images that have come out and quotes, and all manner of hyperbole, strangely enough, and subterfuge, and a little bit of gaslighting, I think, is involved, just as David said. This fantastic image here of them filming that final episode in the TARDIS very intently. I always like seeing images like this because the kit always fascinates me. Sometimes bits of kit are bigger than I expect. Sometimes they're smaller, and you think there'd be more sort of more crew members in there. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, but yes, that's the former cast now, of course, of of Doctor Who. It's strange to think that not only are they is it the end of the season, but now they're not just one of them's gone, which we're kind of used to with the Russell T Davies season, but they're both gone. They're both gone, and they've been replaced just by one person. One person leading the show now, Billie Piper. Who'd have thought it? Anthony, you're one of your great big showbiz mates there, Billie Piper. So, we talked about these rumours before. You know, we'd had several sources confirm this to Type 40 way ahead of time. In fact, ever since the BAFTAs debacle from a few weeks ago. But you say you watched it after the fact. You're aware of the conversation that's going on around this particular moment. I don't know if it's gone viral, but it's definitely got people talking about the show again, hasn't it?
Oh, for sure. I mean, my goodness, just listening to the comments and reading the comments on Sunday and today, you know, it's certainly got people talking. And, you know, you get a feeling that not everybody is too keen on this particular idea. I mean, I think Billie Piper is great. And she was great as Rose. You know, she was great in the first couple of series when the series came back. And she's undoubtedly part of the reason why Doctor Who was so successful when it did come back. You know, I had my reservations 20 years ago when they were going to cast, you know, essentially a pop star, pop singer. I'd seen some things like Ruby in the Smoke, but I didn't really know much about Billie Piper. So you had a kind of perception about how she would be in the series, but that completely blew my mind. You know, she was great and the series was great, helped by Eccleston and everybody else. The stories, the scripting, everybody was behind that revival. Fast forward 20 years and Billie Piper, although still fabulous and amazing, you know, this uncertainty of whether she is or isn't the Doctor has caused a lot of people who, you know, some real, without naming names, some real loyal followers of the last couple of years of Doctor Who on X, formerly Twitter, talking about, you know, the new series and loving it and loving every aspect of it. Even they started to turn this morning and yesterday evening saying, oh, it's, you know, it's a muddle, it's a pickle, it's a mess. Are we getting any more? What's happened? So, you know, you expected lots of people to potentially be behind this because of knowing about Billie Piper and who she is.
Yeah.
But it felt that everybody had turned against that and this a lot more than I kind of expected. You know,
I think it's nothing against Billie. I think it's nothing against Billie at all. I wouldn't describe her as a national treasure, but I think there is a generation of people who have grown up with her, either singing or acting or both. I also think she's quite. I also think she's quite a not exactly a relatable figure because she's quite plummy and she was a stage school kid and all that kind of thing. But the idea of her being a sort of a relatively normal girl from Swindon who's sort of come good, I think there's something that's very appealing about that. So there's no antagonism towards her whatsoever. But I think people have really seen through, not necessarily Doctor Who itself, but the way that current Doctor Who is being run, and obviously what people have landed on, and everybody noticed this. I mean, people are reaching out to me and saying, "Oh, but this, but that," as if we didn't notice. Everybody noticed this, even though it was only on screen for a millisecond. This caption at the end and introducing Billie Piper, and I was looking for that because it's customary, but it usually comes with another 3 words in a line of type underneath that. Doesn't it, Luke? And okay, that's not a classic series thing. It's very much a new series thing, guys. But it's conspicuous by its absence.
Yeah, I think I spoke to Anthony very, very briefly about this on Sunday while I was sitting able. I think, look, she did regenerate from Ncuti Gatwa. Yeah. It is quite obvious she is going to play the 16th Doctor. She is, and just how people, you know, this might be the new way they're doing it. You don't know. Things change. They might have changed it from then. They might change it from now. Credits change. How people want to be credited has changed. They might just be introducing it as that. Yeah, I don't know. I think people are reading a little bit too much into it. I've heard rumblings.
Press release and the publicity, Luke, are describing her as the 16th Doctor, as the new Doctor Who.
Yeah, well, you know, I had a little phone call with you, didn't I, a couple of weeks ago? You did. About this entire situation, and I was like, oh my God, look what I found out. But yeah, I've heard apparently how long she's rumoured to stay for. I don't know how true that is, but we'll see. But yeah, I think I'm you know what, I think I'm the only person in the country, but I'm like, I'm all for this. I think she'll be absolutely fantastic. Ironically, on the flight over to Belfast, over to Brussels, I was watching the 11th Hour and Time of Angels, and I was like, oh man, Matt Smith was really. I was like, I missed the Moffat era. I was like, that was really, really good. Yeah, I was like, that was really, really good. But no, I think Billie will be great. I think she'll be a good ambassador for the show. She can probably. You can pin a franchise on her because she'll bring some of the casuals back. Not everyone. You will have alienated a lot of the fans have turned off. So it does seem like a bit of a publicity stunt because it's not going to be on our screens till 2026 Christmas special.
2034, I've heard.
Yeah, I think we'll get a 2026 Christmas special. We'll get a 2027 season. Jesus. But I think that's if you're gonna if you can't pin it to her to carry it over, then you just cut to black and leave it, and then you just leave it open ended for someone else to come. So clearly, there is plans to continue it. Otherwise, they wouldn't have just put Billie in randomly.
I understand there is a provisional filming date as well. They look to start filming on further Doctor Who material, but it's not until a lot later in the year. Yes. Presumably, there's a lot of things to sort out between now and then. The more practical, financial aspects of it, more than anything else. And as I understand it, obviously, although the bulk of season 3, a potential season 3, is and was written because it was written for Ncuti Gatwa, this actual material that Billie will be leading hasn't even been written yet, or is still in the early processes of being written. So this is really, really slapdash, and I think that people can tell that. But no, I wouldn't expect it to be on screen until Christmas 2026.
See,
what worries me is the fact that this is. See, what worries me. Well, that's what worries me. That's what worries me. I think that they're biding their time with that, and to see. I think it was meant to be a mimetic moment that would trend by Russell T Davies. This is completely cynical, a marketing thing, and then work out how he can write his way out of it after the fact. I'm more inclined to believe that she is the Doctor. I mean, she certainly, for example, she's still wearing the Doctor's clothes. So biologically, the Doctor does appear to have morphed into this female form, resembling somebody he knew before.
Yeah.
But after the fact, though, Charlotte, Russell can write himself out of that if need be. So I don't think Russell's even decided himself.
Here's the thing. When I was watching it, my first gut was, oh God, right, she's the Doctor. Like, that was my first, I'll happily admit to that. But then I didn't spot the credit thing because we were getting ready for a stream, so I very quickly got ready for the stream. But then afterwards, people pointed that out. And if it was just that credit, I could go, yeah, it probably is just fans being fans here. But actually, if you look at the press statements, if you look at how they're all talking, they're not naming her as the next Doctor. They're not saying Billie Piper is the 16th Doctor. And I think it's, and you can tell, it's like they're talking around. They're saying, Billie will come back. Billie's back, isn't it brilliant? But they're sort of saying, oh, who, why, what? There's a lot of, like, talking around it. So I'm thinking she will lead. I completely agree with you. Whatever comes next on screen, Billie's going to lead it. But because of the fact that she has been two other entities in this show with that face. She's been Bad Wolf, which wasn't the Doctor, and she's been the Moment. And Russell right now loves to dip into his fantasy, loves to dip into sort of the supernatural and the non-logical explanations for stuff. So I think she's going to be something else. I think this is going to be an echo of maybe Bad Wolf or The Moment, or maybe that's why we've had so much gods in the last couple of series of shooting. Maybe this is the pantheon, the gods.
Once you introduce gods and beings that can do things with the click of the fingers, that's like Q in Next Generation, you can do pretty much anything. And that's why this version of the series, this premise, this shift to it, has been so hard to swallow and to invest in, because people can appear, magically reappear, disappear out of existence. I just think it doesn't suit Doctor Who, any of this.
like I said, I think, yeah, I'm not saying we're not going to get her on screen, but I don't think she's the next Doctor.
You see, I agree
for all
with.
intents and purposes, David, excuse me, but for all intents and purposes, is when somebody is leading this show, they are effectively, legitimately, in inverted commas, Doctor Who to the British public.
Yeah.
So now, in the time in between, for the next 2 to 3 years, people are going to be back to referring to Billie Piper as Doctor Who star, and she'll be a kind of ambassador for the show as well, I suspect. And everywhere she goes, people will be constantly asking her about this again now, which, even though she has never cut ties with the show, obviously she's gone on to do different things since, hasn't she, David? Done a lot of dramas, and she's always promoting whatever she does. And there's always a little question in every interview. Oh, we loved you in Doctor Who, or do you ever see David Tennant? There's always a little aside about it, but here it'll be right at the forefront now, and she will be out representing the show.
It will be, and I look, and I agree. I'm going to be terribly. I'm getting splinters now. I'm going to be terribly wonderful and say that I agree with you, Dan, and I agree with you, Charlotte. And it is possible to agree with you both, but on different points. Because actually, I've said on the streams before that I think the PR relations with the show have been absolutely appallingly bad. And we only have to.
Good, didn't they?
They used to be so good. So Billie is basically our version, hopefully, of Tom Cruise, who for the show. Okay, so she can go out, she can smooth out all the PR, she can go out, and because everybody loves Billie because she's just wonderful. Secondly, to cover both your points, I think, and I'm hoping Anthony, with his extensive knowledge of this time, will also help back me up a little bit, perhaps. But I think that I've got to give Russell T Davies some credit, because he's somehow, in a bizarre sort of way, this is his Trial of a Time Lord episode 14 situation. The shoot is left, but like Eric Sayward did. The reasons for leaving, we will never know until about another 10 years, probably. But Eric Sayward obviously wanted to keep the memory of Bob Holmes going and resigned because JNT didn't like the ending, which would have shown the Valiard and the Master fighting to the death, a la Rhinebeck Falls in The Matrix. So obviously, with the show back then, the BBC would have cancelled it had they given them even half a moment to do it. So that's where Pip and Jane came in. So I consider this moment of Ncuti leaving, with the possibility of fading to black, akin to that original ending that Bob Holmes had in mind, and Eric Sayward, because of Bob's untimely death, was absolutely determined and thought it was a resigning point, and he walked away. So I think the fact that Russell has tried to just be as ludicrous as possible and think, if I put somebody's face in there that everybody loves, everybody they will go, what on earth are you doing? What the hell is going on here? And it keeps the interest alive. Radio 4, it's been featured on Today. It's featured again on 5 Live, must watch. Again, the first thing they talked about before they went into any other TV reviews. It's a massive talking point. It keeps the show in the public eye. And we've now got an ambassador who won't tell people to touch grass. She will just go, this is wonderful. I love the show. Isn't it great? By the way, I'm back with Big Finish in September, so buy that as well, everybody, with Christopher Eccleston.
The impression I always get from Billie Piper is that she's trying to say, I love this show and I love you, whoever she's talking, directing her attention at. She's very, very charming and plays the publicity game so well. We've got somebody in the live chat has just pointed out that some of the press releases, they're quite right, they don't say that she's playing the Doctor, but plenty of them do. I wouldn't say there's an even split, but enough of them are. So it's clearly a directive has not been given not to describe her as the Doctor. There's psychic beats, press releases not describing her as the 16th Doctor. plenty of them are, though. That's what I'm struggling to understand. But plenty of them are.
It is a mixed message, but I have to give look. I give credit where credit's due. We can be very critical of Russell's writing, and we should be. But in order to keep a franchise going, he has done, I believe, what JNT did in 1986 to say, I can't afford to give anybody the slightest excuse to kill this off. And he described Billy's code name as Petrol. And
no, that was Jodie's. That was Jodie's.
I thought it was Billy's.
Yeah, that was Jodie's.
On Jodie's. But then again, if you've got a dying flame, what do? You don't put petrol on it, please, kids, because it'll be nasty. But then you just make it burst into flames. So with a bit of an accelerant. But the whole thing is he has done what he has had to do. But he's written himself into that mess. But he's had the good sense to say, how can I keep people talking about the show? How can I keep it in the public eye?
Exactly.
How can I keep the
when
interest
Anthony
going?
Parkinson points out here that nobody's coming back for Billie Piper, he's quite right. But people are talking about Doctor Who to some extent or another more than they have in a while, and for better or worse, mostly negatively in my experience. But they are talking about it. But he's bought a little bit of attention and a fraction of time, and the series things have got that bad for the show that he's going to look on that as a positive. Russell T Davies doesn't understand the modern media. He doesn't understand new media. He believes he does, which is even worse than not understanding it at all and knowing it. So we'll see where that goes. We'll see where that goes from there. I mean, I can't see the conversation dying down around what I'm going to start calling this caption gate, I think, Luke, because I don't think it matters really until we get some sort of clarification from Russell, from Badwell, from Billy, from in some way, shape, or form in a press release about what's what and who's who. They'll be quite happy to let this tick along because it will keep the series on the tips of people's tongues. It'll probably set us all at one another's throats about it in the time in between as well. And really, I do think this is kind of what's powering the show at the moment. Not what's on screen, actually what's on screen and the way it's promoted. And that, in my view, that's kind of the biggest shame of all, really. I don't think that's how it should be. I think the drama should be what people are talking about, you know?
Yeah, but how long has Russell been saying he wants to do a surprise regeneration at the end of an episode, and it's near enough impossible? Like he almost, I mean, he almost had it, bless him. But yeah, it's I don't know. I think I read something quite funny that by the time she's regenerated into Ncuti, or Ncuti regenerated into her now, and obviously won't have something till about Christmas 2026 or 2027. I think her entire that length of time will probably be longer than Ncuti's actual on-screen time or something. I was like, that's a bit mad, essentially. But if we have a look at the way things are going now, that clip of the regeneration shooting to Billy, that on Twitter, one clip of it had like 15 to 20 million views. Russell said he wants to create content. He's got his content. He's got his views right there. He's got exactly what he's after. If he's promising that to the BBC, he's like, I will create views for you, because obviously there's different ways to monetize stuff as well. So, and if he's pulling out 15, 20 million views for a shock regeneration, then he's got it. And it'd be very, very interesting.
Even though we weren't shocked on the Type 40
no.
And a great many people were, the general public, the ones who were still watching, and the people who don't watch but were reading about it after the fact, they would have been startled and it may have caught their attention, if only fleetingly. Charlotte, to your point, Philip Roy mentions here, he reminds us that Romana regenerated with Princess Astra's body. So it's not without precedent. It is a complete car crash, though, if she's the Doctor, adds Phil.
And here's the thing. I completely agree with you guys. It's definitely got people talking. It's definitely got that sort of modern-day thing of Twitter and everybody. But I actually think in the long run, yes, he's technically got a victory now. But I think in the long run, this is going to incredibly damage an already damaged brand. Because I've seen a lot of people today and yesterday, and I'm talking about the fan people here, because that's the ones that have kept this brand going for the last God knows how many years. It's not the casuals, it's not the general audience, it's been us lot who are still watching. I've seen a lot of them after that episode go, I'm done. I'm out. If you're going to play these games, Russell, basically, people are saying, if you're going to do stunt casting, if you're going to do gimmicks, if you're going to just give jobs, I've even heard people say, if you're just going to give jobs to your mates, then why should I care? Why should I bother? So actually, I think in the long run, this is going to damage, because people are just walking away. They're going, fine, you've given me an out. You've given me the perfect reason to come back only when you're gone. That's what I'm resoundingly hearing as well. Like I said,
It has affected me negatively, Charlotte. You're quite right.
And like I said, none of this is against Billy. I've hearing resounding big voices on YouTube in the fan space go, until Russell has gone from show running this show, until the BBC completely kick him out and all his group, I am not touching Doctor Who. And I'm like, so if that's going to damage the show even more, even if you've got really big hardcore fans now being against this that strongly.
I think he's trying to win us over as the show's biggest advocates, obviously devotees, win us over. It could be just too little too late, really. I'm still turning this over in my head. My initial reaction was exactly just transparent gimmickry and utter desperation. I like the symmetry of the fact that if this was and is the final episode for a little while, the idea that it leaves the screen with the same face, the first face that we saw all the way back in 2005, 20 years ago. Yeah, I kind of like that. But they don't intend on leaving it here, regardless of the appetites or non-appetite of either the general audience or the fandom. And that's something we're going to be picking up on a little bit later on. We've got quotes from everybody involved to get stuck into as well. If you want more from us, we had a big weekend here at Type 40 and Type 40 Live. So there was the Type 40 live stream, our instant reaction to that episode, The Reality War, 2.5 hours worth of it. We went completely off the leash there within a few minutes of the episode screening, with no notes, no prep, very few pictures, just gobs running to the max, and lots of people coming in as well to share their opinions, the hottest of takes, for better or worse. And there it all is, immortalized here across the streaming platforms for you to relive, and drop us a comment there by all means. And there was my Dr. Billy video as well here on the channel, and my short video expressing my own personal opinions about the notion of Billie Piper leading this show, particularly as the Doctor, which I recorded a little while before the episode actually appeared. So there's lots of comments on all of those. In fact, I think they're our biggest videos and live streams too. So thank you for all of that. Keep the comments coming. We'd like some more of that as the page turns again on Doctor Who. But yeah, this is Type 40 Live on YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, and X, with our regular live stream magazine show. We have a lot to catch up with a couple of the guys, so we're going to ask their opinions in a moment. We want more from you too about all of this. Maybe you have changed your mind in the couple of days in between. I think, I didn't understand it, Russell. And I have sort of rejected it. This never a truer word has been spoken, I think. But is he listening? Is he paying attention? And does he care? Really, does he care?
Hello. I'm Philip Roy, playing the Doctor in the Doctor Who fan film Doctor Who Meets the Scorpion. I've been on quite an adventure, and this is most definitely the Type 40 podcast.
Yes, season 2 of All New Doctor Who came to a cataclysmic conclusion involving bone beasts, bone palaces, big, huge monster gods munching down on long-lost Time Lords, ladies, and everything went up the pictures. There was disappearing and reappearing space babies. There were wish babies as well, and all manner of other things. That was before the Doctor exploded yet again. The episode was written by, daubed out by Russell T Davies. The reality war, 65 minutes worth of it. In fact, we made it through with the help of friends. And I think a lot of us came out of it unsullied, unsoiled, near enough. As for the legacy of Doctor Who, I don't know about the state of that, but I do know I've got a couple of extra pundits here tonight we haven't heard from yet. So what was your experience like then, Luke? I know you had a rough weekend, but was Doctor Who actually viewing the season finale after all this talk? Did that prove to be a highlight or a letdown of your weekend?
Well, I hated I absolutely despised Wishworld. I did not like Wishworld. I loved this season. I thought the season was fantastic, and I watched Wishworld. I was like, "Oh, what is this? Like, what is going on?" And yes, David. Yes, David, I agree with you. But I was like, "What is going on? Like, what is actually going on?" I was like, "Nothing happened. Like, nothing happened." But yeah, so I was quite trepidatious about this. Obviously, yeah, I was quite nervous, quite excited. I said I'm a big fan of Omega. I thought, look, to be,
Who isn't?
I didn't like it. I loved it. I loved it. I had the best time. I had an absolute whale of a time watching this episode. Me and my missus watched it in Brussels.
Yeah.
She's a casual, very, very casual actually. Unfortunately, she's started to pick up a lot of lore now and a lot of canon. So it's actually quite mad when she's spouting off. Yeah, she's pouting off stuff about classic series, and then maybe Rose is this because she looked into the TARDIS and that regeneration energy but bounced back, and that's why. And I was like, I didn't even think of that. I'm like, oh my god. So yeah, I might have corrupted her, but yeah, to be honest, I think for 45 minutes of that episode, I had an absolutely whale of a time. But Ncuti was fantastic. I think it's very clear to see where the reshoots come in, and there's a large bit of it because certain characters are quite conspicuous by their absence. Mel is now on a. Mel was never a housewife either. She was a lonely spinster. She was on her own, and also there's another TARDIS parked at a tree somewhere. Jodie Whittaker parked it.
Luke, don't apply logic. Just
I know,
accept
but
it.
as I said, I watched it though. I watched just the spectacle of it. I had a great time. I had a fantastic time. I was disappointed by Omega. I knew what was coming, so I kind of preempted myself for that. I think I had in my head, I was like, obviously, because what I've heard and what I said, I was like, I know if Jodie's turning up, then I know the other thing is happening. And as soon as Jodie turned up, I was like, oh no. I thought Jodie was great, and I thought Jodie was fantastic, and I thought her costume suited that TARDIS, and I was like, she should have had this one. I was like, she looked great. I thought Ncuti was great. I thought Millie Gibson out-acted everyone. I thought she was the beating heart of the story. To be fair,
a few people have said that, both Millie and Verada.
Yeah, Verada. Yeah, I thought them two were the real linchpin of this. And I thought they were fantastic. But yeah, I thought it was one of Ncuti's best performances, and I was like, oh man, if he acted like this version of the Doctor, then I would be like, I'd be all for it. But I know the damage is done, and I know season 1 was a lot of took a bit of a slamming. So obviously season 2 is going to be a bit of a struggle, but I had an absolutely fantastic. I rewatched it on the flight on the way back today, just in preparation for this, just to make sure it was like.
Did you enjoy it just as much the second time?
Yeah, I had a great time. I watched it and I was like, yeah, I had an absolutely great time. Absolutely great time. I know, Matt, I will not be making a cameo in the Christmas special, unfortunately. But yeah, I had a fantastic time. There's some elements of it I didn't like, but on the whole, as a spectacle, I loved it. I loved it, and I'm all for Billie Piper being the next Doctor. Go for it.
You see, Luke, when I've spoken to people, both in the fandom and slightly sort of out of it, people who watch this stuff casually, and who sort of appreciate its cultural relevance, and who will tune in for like season finales and regenerations and things like that. Anytime there's something sensational might happen, a lot of people felt that that you picked up on there. You can tell where the reshoots are. That actually a lot of it felt like you could really feel, and you could see it and hear it and feel it crunching its gears as it's made its way through its runtime. That it didn't really flow and had no shape to it. It's like a bit of this and a bit of that and a bit of this. Do you think do you think they pulled? I can accept that you enjoyed it, and I think that's absolutely fine. You know, and enjoy all sorts of stuff. But do you think that it was successful? You know, in an objective way.
I think as a series finale, no. I think obviously the plan was never Chewie's.
Because I enjoyed parts of it. I can't deny I did.
I thought the first 44 minutes, I thought they were incredibly paced. I thought it was very well done. I thought the tail end was very, very tacked on. I thought the regeneration it just felt a bit out of place, and it was like, right, okay, we know where we're going now. But I enjoyed it. Like I had fun watching it. Like I had fun watching it. I had fun seeing Jodie come back. I was excited for when I saw Billy come in. I was very trepidatious to see if they're going to cut to black or they're going to just do the full to go in. But no, I had fun. Like I had fun. I've heard apparently the ending that's leaked is not the actual ending. By the way, that's one thing I found out today. The original ending, that's the ending. That's not the ending. I found out today.
Yeah. I haven't the speculated ending about a party. As I understand it, that's not what my sources have told me at all. Now, there's a tweet that everybody is talking about. I've been sent it at least 8 times, but that's not as it's been explained to me. And it sounds like you might have heard something similar. And Matt Potts says my sister is watching the final episodes just to see the new Doctor. So that's his sister's a normie, isn't she, Charlotte? And Matt talks about his sister all the time.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's why, in the hindsight, I really think it was such a shame that they didn't say Ncuti was going, and that they did try and pull off this surprise, because I feel like Ncuti should have been given a bit of that time, which we all do as fans and casuals. You're right, casuals do it. That they go, they're going, I'll watch this final episode then. But because it publicly and officially they didn't say he was regenerating, I know we said we'd all worked it out.
I think they're hoping that the audience, sadly, the audience for Doctor Who on the night has got so small, it's been diminished so much that they're now in a position where they can make that gambit by having people talk about it after the fact and then hit it up on iPlayer and potentially not just double their audience, but pile it on. And I think it's entirely. I mean, the rabbi was in the chat earlier on. The rabbi, several other people have used the same word, cynical. I think that's what it is. Matthew Pounder here says it made no sense, but you liked it, Luke. There are lots of things that I like that make no sense at all. I don't think things need to make sense for us to like them or enjoy them. But I think when we do a bit of reflection after the fact and maybe put a different hat on or look from a slightly different perspective, we might see things, if not differently. I still enjoyed it. I know lots of things that I think I know are complete tat. I still enjoy them, and I will give things a lot of. I'll give things an easier time if they make me feel good in a moment, because I'm meant to be entertained by this stuff, Matthew. And I think you and I, Luke, I think we're wired up in a similar way to that. Sorry, Charlotte, what were you going to say?
I was going to say that's why I think for Ncuti, like this felt like this should have been built up as his goodbye. Every other actor has had that, and I feel like they've robbed him of that, especially as in the episode itself, it was just out of nowhere he regenerated for no reason. There was no pathos in the lead up to it. I know we said on the night, we had people in our chat who enjoyed his acting in those moments, and if you did, absolutely fair game to you. But I'm saying actually plot-wise, they didn't lead up to a regeneration. It just came out of nowhere, and I think that's a shame for the actor. They should enjoy that moment almost, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I entirely understand what you've got to say. Before I come to you, Anthony, I just want to bring up this comment from Star Whovian watching on YouTube, and this ties in to what we were mentioning a moment ago. You know, David, you mentioned it earlier. I've just talked about it a little. This is very much what I'm alluding to. Star Whovian mentions that Russell T Davies here has been quoted as saying, I've seen this quote too. I think it was on camera. I think he was speaking to Susan Twist.
He said it in Unleashed last year about the whole Susan stuff.
He said, we're very much in the internet age of storytelling, so we just hope it will generate content. I mean, that's a very strange. This is one of the biggest. Not only is he a titan of the broadcasting industry in Britain, Anthony. He's also one of the most decorated storytellers and screenwriters and most dependable screenwriters. The audiences love his stuff. This man is a massive creative figure. To think that now in 2025 he would come out with a comment like that, somebody with such polished writing chops and all those awards, this seems like, is this the same bloke?
Yeah, right. So everybody breathe and take back. I've got a lot to say here. So this is going to be the next 25 minutes, right? So
Yes.
I've been listening carefully. I've been reading the comments in the chat. Oh my goodness. Right. So Russell T Davies, the first run, absolutely exemplary, great, brilliant, millions of people. The kids love it. Toys everywhere. It's phenomenal. When RTD2 comes along, you think he's going to repeat the trick. But then for me, in that very first series, he doesn't repeat the trick. And I feel as though that's multifactorial. However, I feel that some of that weakness is that we never got to see the Doctor in that first series. And I know I keep saying that on most shows that I do, but I feel as though he wasn't around for that series very much. So when you got to series 2, I thought it was going to be more of the same.
Yes.
So I went into that series with some trepidation, thinking, oh, here we go again. Am I really a Doctor Who fan anymore? You know, the last couple of years, I am a Doctor Who fan. I'm a classic Doctor Who fan for sure, even now. And I love those RTD 1 years. Matt Smith, Capaldi, great. And then I suddenly lost my mojo for Doctor Who. So actually, when series 2 came along, I was pleasantly surprised. You know, me and Luke, we've talked about this before. You know, I was, as each episode came along, I was thinking, gosh, the world's great. Lux is really good. Here we are, we're finding a stride. And then we got to Wish World and the finale. And again, I've lost all of my enthusiasm because of the way that, David is absolutely right. This has a Trial of a Time Lord feel about it. You know, there's a Dobdom regeneration at the end. It's a bit messy at the end. There are so many elements thrown into those last 2 episodes. You know, you don't have time to breathe. And I think if anybody had gone on to iPlayer to watch the 3 Doctors of Arc of Infinity to gen up on Omega and who that character was, they might as well have forget it. I mean, it bears no resemblance to the Omega that I remember from classic series. So there are many elements here that have been thrown into a pot to create a finale where it skates along so quickly, so furiously in those, as Luke says, in those first like 20, 30, 40 minutes, it skates along. You know, Omega appears and disappears. You know, Russell T Davies saying the sonic screwdriver looks like a gun. We shouldn't let him have a gun. And then suddenly we give him a gun to destroy Omega, to send him back into his pit.
So it's almost like,
it's almost like Russell's forgetting his publicity, his own publicity, you know, to say it 1 minute and then forget about it the other. You know, this notion that there's no more TARDISes. Well, I thought the Tennant Doctor had a TARDIS with Donna in the garden. So what do I know? I've lost faith. I lost faith at the end. I had some great, you know, I thought it was great in the middle, but I lost some faith at the end. I feel as though, you know, for Ncuti Gatwa, I mean, he was hardly the Doctor. He was hardly in series 1. He was in series 2 and it was better. And now he's gone. You know, when he said on Graham Norton, all the pieces fall into place, don't they? You know, you probably talked about this on Saturday, but we're filming again in February. Or was that series 3? Oh no, we're filming in February to say goodbye to you in a kind of convoluted and muddled way. Correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't Belinda in a student house when we first met her and people were taking food? And now she's in a beautiful home with a lovely garden. So there is no logic, Charlotte,
Yeah,
sometimes, is there?
within the episode, he retconned his own character of Belinda. Like I said this on the Saturday show, he had to insert flashbacks to things that never happened on screen
Yeah.
to explain the whole Poppy baby plot that apparently all the time she was going on about having to get home to Poppy.
Yeah, and that's a muddle for me. You know, I had to look on Wikipedia to kind of search out the storyline, and I agree with Luke. You know, the first part of that story of that episode is very furious. I didn't enjoy Wishworld at all. I was confused by it. I thought I didn't understand what was going on. But I thought the first sort of like 40 minutes of Reality World was great.
When we watch episodes like that, like Wishworld, Anthony, as Doctor Who fans, I think whether you watch the classic show or whether you came to it with the new series, when it's the first part of something, the first half, you think, even if you haven't quite got it, you think, well, it'll all slot into place next week. But that doesn't happen anymore, does it?
No, and it certainly doesn't happen here. I mean, the build up for this episode again looks very different to the one we had on Saturday. I feel as though Doctor Who's left in a bit of a muddle. You know, anybody that was a friend of mine texted me on Saturday evening, which I didn't see until Sunday because I turned my phone off. I didn't want to be spoiled, even though I knew all the spoilers. However, she texted me and she said, Doctor Who is a muddle. I no longer understand it. I cannot follow it. I don't understand what it's saying to me. It is a muddle. You know, somebody who's grown up in the classic times, you know, a casual viewer, not, you know, a fan, but not a fan to, you know, in a fan sense of conventions and Comic-Con and stuff, but loves Doctor Who and always watches it. And she said, honestly, I don't get it. And I don't understand why Rose Tyler is there. You know, not even linking that to Billy and a doctor. Why is Rose popped up again? It was all a mystery to her. And she was looking to me in a WhatsApp message to try and resolve all of that for her. And I couldn't. I feel as though it's in a bit of a pickle. You know, the Disney deal, the BBC thoughts about the series, how it's been left. David, you're absolutely right. It feels like Trial of a Time Lord. But then equally, I think, Danny, I think you posted this on X. It feels like Survival. It feels like episode 3, where the Doctor and Ace are walking into the sunset, and you don't quite know what's going to happen next.
Yeah.
And I think I would have preferred a kind of Trial of a Time Lord, Eric Sayward vision for a finale, where the Doctor is seen to fall into a void and resist the gimmick that Russell's got to write himself out of. And that may just be one line, mightn't it? You know, I've had this, you know, I saw this face before. I quite like it. I've adopted it. It could be as simple as that. However, I think by putting Billy there, it creates a muddle. I think the episode at the end, understandably, was a muddle. And it wasn't as good as the other episodes that ran before it. I thought The Well was great. I thought the Interstellar Song Contest was great. I thought it was good television. But these last two and the elements that they conjured together and threw together and put together for this episode was just too much. There was no time to even pause. You know, the Rani speaking and is eaten in the same breath, and is dispatched in seconds. And this is a program, you know, this is a program I will love to my dying day in terms of classic series. And I just feel a bit saddened again that here we are again, you know, unsure, unclear. I just think a pause is required.
I saw a conversation between two people who were catching up about Doctor Who because one, you know, clearly two storied fans of it, people who'd watched it to one degree or another over the years, and this was all played out on social media. And one asked the other, you know, I didn't catch the Doctor Who finale, what happened? And the other one just said, "Oh, Omega ate the Rani." I never thought I'd ever type that. And you think that actually happened.
Yeah, but Dan, look, you know, you're a classic series fan too. But look at that image there, you know, of Omega. I mean, it doesn't come. I mean, that's just Sutek. It's Sutek with the fur off, isn't it? It's the same. I don't see any difference between the Sutek version that we had from
and he
Russell
doesn't
T and
do
this.
anything, doesn't say anything. There's nothing particular to his character involved. To go back to this at all, just because maybe they wrangle the rights. I don't know. Used a bit of imagery to get it trending, get Omega trending. I don't know. But what a cost! I mean, a whole episode surrounding this idea would have maybe worked. I was kind of intrigued by that, just as I was intrigued by the new Rani and seeing that character again, all over, pretty much in a flash, all forgotten in next to no time. I can't imagine people lapping this up. I mean, Simon Ashley says in the live chat here, to be fair, when I went to watch the reality war at my local Odeon cinema, Anthony, on Saturday, which was packed out, he claims at the regeneration scene, everyone stood up and whooped and cheered. Now, obviously, that's the reaction that Russell T Davies does want. I suspect that, I mean, for a start, the cinema was full. Usually you find that with these screenings, it's not rocket science. If people can see the stuff for free on the telly, not many people. You have to be really invested in Doctor Who to go and spend between £16 and £20 to see something you can watch for free in the comfort of your own home. So nobody's got lofty expectations of these screenings, but usually they're about a third to half at the very most full. But the idea that people stood up and whooped and cheered, I find that, watching reaction videos from fabulous YouTubers, who sit there, it's either them on their own, like younger people or people with their partners, and I don't think I've seen a positive one yet.
I know why they did. I know why they did, because somebody brought in a huge pallet of Maltesers so they could all throw it at the screen. So that's why they did. Sorry, Anthony.
I was going to say, Dan, we need to go back to Simon and ask what they whooped about. Were they whooping at the fact that Ncuti had left, or were they whooping the fact that as Billy coming in?
You have to wonder. You do have to wonder.
Yeah,
you have to wonder. But on that point, I've seen lots of comments over the last couple of days about cinema events and how packed or not packed they were. I went to, not for this one, but I went to the last screening at midnight, and I expected myself to be the only person in Everyman's cinema at midnight for that particular finale. And it was packed. It really was absolutely packed. I was flabbergasted.
I do think sometimes it is the novelty of going to the cinema, which is a bit of a pull more than the episodes.
Yeah, for me, yes.
Because it's a communal thing as well. Like the fact that if you had a couple of mates who were Doctor Who, you could either sit by yourselves in your room watching it, or you could all get together, go to the cinema, have probably some nice bit of food, have some nice atmosphere, some really hyped atmosphere. I'd guess you've got fans that are probably getting each other a little bit G'd up there, so I think it's a very different viewing experience to see it in a cinema.
It's a communal show. It's meant to be watched by families all together. At least, to sit there, watch it with your mum or your big brother, or watch it with your little sister. It's a cross-generational thing. It's a communal thing to enjoy. And so when Luke says, when you said, Luke, I watched it with my other half, she's not really into Doctor Who, and we had a whale of a time. And it doesn't matter if, on whatever level you enjoyed it. For example, for the sake of argument, in Luke's case, as a big Doctor Who fan, you're watching it, Luke, you're looking for all the little bits and bobs of other bits of lore, little idiosyncrasies to the characters. Whereas, a normie, my experience, your other half or your big brother or your cousin or your best mate, they're just watching it to have a laugh. It's all that, look, he ate the time lady. Oh, that happened, or this happened. And it just puts a smile on people's faces. And I think that sometimes a great many of us, myself included, nestled deep into this fandom and decades of being a fan. I think sometimes we can forget that this is meant to be populist telly with a really broad appeal. And I'm not saying that it shouldn't make sense. Of course it should make sense. But there's no shame in it aiming for populism either. Ideally, it should aim for populism and succeed and shoot and hit the goal the way the show used to when Russell was there originally. But it's not nice seeing him shoot and miss. But I think that they're trying. It's just that he can't. I don't think that Russell T Davies can get out of his own way. And so to hear Anthony sort of detail it so precisely there and so relatably, I think that if Russell could hear the advice or the notes, I suppose, of people who are not just fans for years and years, just people who've been advocates for the show. I think if he'd just open his mind a little bit and start listening, rather than telling anybody who questions his greatness on Instagram to go and F off, I think we may start getting somewhere. But I'm not seeing any indication that day is coming anytime soon.
We got a long time, haven't we, till the next episode of Doctor Who. So we don't know. This was made off the back of back-to-back with season 1. So, and it's been received a lot better. So who knows? And
it has. That's to be fair. Yeah.
But he might have seen, right, okay, I may have messed up a little bit and it's going down. Because like the war between land and sea looks good. That we'll cover in a different time. But that looks all right. But yeah, I don't know. Like I said, like I enjoyed it. The Poppy daughter thing I enjoyed. Actually, I thought that made sense of why she wanted to get home the entire season, and I thought it made more sense because obviously in the current time stream or time that the Doctor and Belinda were in, clearly Earth wasn't around. They were going to the well and the Interstellar Song Contest and traveling through space and time, and Earth wasn't there.
Yeah.
And so him, by fixing reality, kind of put it back to the right one where she did have the kids. Like
I'm a big softie when it comes, Luke. I'm a big softie when it comes to kids, and but there were times during this episode where I was very affected by this, and it was always sort of those moments. Is Poppy okay? Is Poppy okay? And this was, bear in mind, this isn't a character that's got a speaking part. It's not particularly. We didn't know she existed until last week. But I just think that if they'd have lent more into that and made it about her. I mean, if you're trying to describe what the story is about,
I agree.
This entire two-part, it has to be something you can invest in and you can relate to. It's taken me until today, so it's 2 days after the final part and a week after part 1, Anthony, to work out what this story was meant to be about, before Ncuti was leaving and before the inflated budget, before the inflated ego and the infestation of ideology. And what I've arrived at is that this story was meant to be about the entire thing, how the way in a sort of circle that the power of wishes, the element of doubt, and the kind of the actualization, I suppose, of will, how wish, doubt, and will are all related to one another as part of the average sort of person of the human experience, I suppose you could say. And I think those were the themes. That's what he was trying to tie together. That's where the story was meant to be going, whereby, you can make things happen if you have enough will. You can almost make your dreams come true. And that you shouldn't, but in doing so, you shouldn't step on anybody else's. I think that's what it's meant to be about. But look how muddled it all is. Look how compromised it all is. Look how ineffectual it is. Look how impossible it is to kind of to reach into it and feel anything at all. As I say, the only time I really felt anything, there was surprise when Anita came through that door. Anthony, you could have knocked me down with a feather.
Yes.
Didn't expect that. And the only time where my heart was even slightly in my mouth was when I thought the cute little kid might not be okay.
I agree. And I was quite surprised with that. I was surprised at the little clip of Day of the Daleks and other old Doctor Who stories. I kind of was bought into that to an extent. But I go back to what I said probably, 6 months ago, 8 months ago, when we were talking about character options and the new Ncuti Gatwa Millie Gibson 5-inch figure.
Yeah.
I was just thinking, well, you need a protagonist, you need some monsters. It didn't really, character options wasn't really grabbed by this, was it? There wasn't an audience of children that were interested in this. And those two figures remain the character options contributions so far for this particular reboot of Doctor Who. And I add that, this was always a jumping on point, wasn't it? This was always the moment where you jumped on board, because if you hadn't watched Doctor Who before, and then you had the biggest lore-based episode of Doctor Who in a long while, Omega, the Rani, 2 Ranis, by regeneration, it was coming at you thick and fast, wasn't it? And it was it wasn't the jumping on point that you kind of
No.
was imagining from Russell, and the fact that they didn't grab the kids, and there isn't a huge amount of merchandise for this particular series, kind of says it all for me.
The two things I'd like just to come back on, if I may, please, is one, something that Anthony was saying about how he found the whole thing, or his friend found it so confusing. I was at an evening with Peter Davison night some 12 years ago, and it may be Terence Dicks that he got this quote from, but he said Doctor Who should be complicated enough to keep children interested and simple enough to keep for adults to understand, and then which is a very Terence-like quote. And then something Luke was saying about it made sense for Poppy, Dr. Poppy, to for the story for Belinda to get home to Dr. Poppy. Well, it would have done if he'd have started that from the start. You know, if that had been the start point.
Actually seeded it.
Actually seeded it at the start. Because I think emotionally it would have affected us parents, because we could have put ourselves in that situation whereby if we suddenly disappear and abducted by an alien race of robots, who's going to look after our kids? Who's going to be there for our kids? And it would have become it would have made us really invest in the character. Then halfway through the series, because it is another writer writing for another companion, because the whole production seemed to have been a complete cluster from the start, we then lose the thread of it. We then lose the thread of Belinda, only for Poppy to become the most important thing in the last two episodes, which narratively makes no sense at all, because we haven't had the emotional investment at the start. So it's become this mismatch of disjointed mayhem that is just thrown at the screen, and we are expected to try and understand the characters' motivations 10 minutes before the end. And my final thing on Charlotte, on what Charlotte said, but that Ncuti was robbed of an ending. I'd like to just slightly be devil's advocate with you on that one, Charlotte. Was he robbed, or did he rob himself? It's my question.
Well, we don't know about his exit, do we?
The opportunity was there, wasn't it? I mean, speaking about sort of companions for a moment there made me remember at the time on Saturday, Anthony, I was very disappointed in this as the runtime sort of moved down. I thought they've run out of time for this. And I was very disappointed that she didn't appear at all initially. Now, with a couple of days hindsight, I'm actually thinking it might be more of a blessing that Carol Ann Ford's Susan Foreman wasn't in this after all. I suspect that material with Carol Ann Ford, further material was shot and hasn't been used. Could be used at a later. I don't know what to think. But she wasn't in it. I don't think it was unreasonable of us to expect her to be in it. So were you surprised? Were you waiting for that, as I was?
I was waiting for that, because this is, for classic fans, this is an important character, isn't it? And when we talked about this on the show previously, Carol Ann Ford coming back to Doctor Who is a big deal. She was seen in the Five Doctors, but it's a big deal. And how you invest in that character, if you're a classic fan, is enormous. So to have that teased, in a Help Me Doctor is exciting, but to see no resolution to that, I agree, Dan. I'm glad she was better out of it, because there was another 2.5 seconds that, that wasn't used up to her, because that would have skated over and not done the character.
Would have been a massive indignity.
It would have been an indignity, because it would have been like, oh, sorry, where's Susan? Oh, hello, Doctor. Skated over like the Rani being eaten, like Omega coming out of his prison. So it would have had the same treatment. And so I'm very glad that she didn't have that. I feel sorry for her that if she has filmed more and it wasn't seen, I would be quite disappointed. So I hope the production
I'd be
has
livid.
somehow, I hope the production has caught up with her and explained that situation. By the time we see Doctor Who again, 2026, 27, time has moved on. So actually, are we going to go and revisit this Susan element in that series? Or is this just going to be quietly forgotten? This is the bit that makes me the most angry. This is the bit of all of that series that makes me the most angry, because here is a heritage character, a classic character, being used in a pretty bad way that teases the audience, but doesn't, like series 1, teases the audience about Susan's return.
I think it's unforgivable.
Quite see it. It is unforgivable, and that's the bit that makes me the most angriest and also the saddest, because actually here was an opportunity to kind of join the dots between 63 and 2025, and unfortunately it was fudged for whatever reason. It was fudged. Really, really disappointed.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm happy that Russell didn't change her and didn't have the opportunity to sort of let's go into that relationship and let's make it something that it wasn't on screen. But now I think this has proven to me that Russell is very willing and very happy to just dangle something in front of the audience. To just go, oh, look, do you remember this? Do you remember this? Because we had, I think it's, and for me, I'm feeling this even more, because we had all that teasing last series of Susan. We had the Susan Twist character. We had him going on about Susan, the Doctor. So now we've had basically 2 series of him mentioning and invoking the image, and then not actually doing anything with it. So now it's just like, Russell, if you try and promise me anything, or if you try and say this in your episodes, all I'm going to do is say, well, when I see it, I'll believe it. Because you were just having plot threads which go nowhere now. You're just mentioning things, you're just making stuff happen into existence for one episode, and then it's dropped.
You're right, Charlotte. And I think that, as Dan, as you said that quote at the beginning when you asked me about the episode, this is internet storytelling. It creates content. Charlotte, you're absolutely right. This created content. But for me, it made very grumpy, angry content, because here is a classic character that wasn't served particularly well. And I think that is the sadness of this particular episode, that, because there's an Unleashed clip, isn't there, with her wearing a completely different outfit to the one we saw her in when she was on screen, that white Mon Mothma type outfit, to this kind of space age kind of green belted outfit. So there was potentially, unless that's her own clothes, potentially there was more to come. I'm grumpy with you, Russell, because we have a very long wait to have that resolved, and please don't try and resolve it. Just create your content with that one, because that was, that's pretty unforgivable. At
least this isn't the worst ever Omega design now. There's that.
Nope.
That's the thing. I'm gutted I didn't get to see Belinda in this red number. That's unforgivable.
Yeah.
That's unforgivable too, quite honestly. And what on earth? What about all those other TARDISes? Is he even keeping track of the things he says? He says in his own scripts. It's infuriating. I'd like to understand, but Russell, I don't understand. I don't know what's happened to your talent, to your populist eye, and your synergy, I suppose, with this fandom. I don't think he's one of us anymore, and I think that's the biggest problem of them all. I think he views himself as our lecturer of some sort, as if he's sort of a Gandalf kind of figure. And I don't know when it happened, but I can't see him turning back anytime soon. I think it'll take a lot more than some underwhelming ratings, because they can be fudged. I think they seem to spend a lot of time blowing smoke up one another's backsides. Who knows where the the cards are going to fall with this. Guys, thank you for telling us your views. I mean, Luke, is this something you're going to go back and watch again? You're going to do the whole season again, maybe, or are you going to?
I've got a couple of nitpicks that I've questioned. I did enjoy it. I had fun, and I will go to bat that I had fun.
I had fun in places. I won't pretend I didn't.
But there's a couple of elements that I was just like, I tried explaining it to my missus, and even I was like, I have no idea. I've never seen that bit. So the Time Lords are now sterile.
Yeah, that's another one he's invented.
Yeah.
So I thought they were going down the looms route of, okay, cool. The Lung Barrow is coming into canon. Okay, we're going down that route. And then he's like, no, the genetic bomb. I was like, is that the one the Master set off in the Timeless Child? But that was the death particle and someone else. I was like, I didn't get that bit. I was like, that's one that threw me.
It was just a throwaway line again. It was a throwaway line. It was a plot device.
Yeah, that one threw me quite a bit, and I was like, okay. There was one more, but I kind of just got excited by saying that one, and I kind of forgot myself. So, but yeah, no, that threw me completely. I was like, unless you're going down the Lung Barrow route, then and saying the Time Lords all grown from looms, which we can kind of see that they're not. But
it was done to make Poppy important.
Yeah,
that's all that was.
He could have fixed that Paul McGann plot all right there, couldn't he? Half time with half human on my mother's side. I was like, you had the perfect opportunity here just to be like, cool, fixed everything. There you go. She's the genetic template for the Time Lords from day dot now. So I was like, yeah. And also, he's not the first time. He's not the first Time Lord. Omega's not the first Time Lord, and he was never cast. He was never cast out. And
that was never the intention.
Gagged and bound.
Yeah. I was like, okay.
I'm looking forward to everybody, the meddling monk returning, because it's the last of the classic Time Lords that we haven't had.
Back into hell. We had that line again, didn't we? Back into hell in this one as well. We've been back into hell talking about the reality war. You could say, I don't know. Results obviously vary, and this certainly won't be the final word on the reality war. This is Doctor Who. When is anything ever the final word on any of it? We reserve the right to come back to it again at a later date. In fact, try stopping us over the next however long. We're going to take some more opinions as Type 40 Live continues. I don't doubt, but that's where we're going to put that to one side. But now we're going to put the whole of the 21st century on standby. In fact, to wiggle and twiddle dials and aerials to tune in to genuine gold from telly times past, where Doctor Who legends are paying their bills, selling us everything from Ford Cortinas to fairy liquid. It can only be the Type 40 Live Doctor Who ad break. You check this little lot out. We'll be back in a moment or two.
This is a great drop of coca-leaky, Hamish.
Aye. She was a fine wee bird, was her.
It's the best soup I've ever tasted.
Aye. She never let us down, even to this day. I'll miss the eggs, though.
What Hamish doesn't know is that his wife uses Knorr stock cubes. Simply pour boiling water over a chicken stock cube, and you have a delicious meaty base for coca-leaky soup without the bones.
Oh, it's how she would have wanted it. Aye, I suppose.
Knorr stock cubes. Good soup and no bones about it.
I'd better give them a call. The house is on fire.
You'll be late!
Oh, stop! But I just walked in your lift.
To wash my sports stuff?
Oh, in the airing cupboard.
Might be late tonight.
Good old yellow pages. We don't just help with things like a leaky roof. We can sort out more important things too.
Just for a couple of days. Where's Mum?
Better read this.
Just for a couple of days? On your own, are you?
Yes. Just for a couple of days.
Ever wonder what children think about?
I'm a super space fleet commander.
Record flight from Mars, 90 minutes. Stand by for landing.
From out of this world, Kellogg's Sugar Frosted Flakes. All sparkled and spangled with sugar. You need only pour on the milk and gobble them up. Space Fleet commanders love them. Schoolboys love them. All boys and girls love them. Delicious heart of the corn, sparkling, spangled flakes give children the fastest breakfast energy ever. That's the way to send children off to school, packed with energy. Give the children Kellogg's Sugar Frosted Flakes for breakfast every day.
Welcome back to your Type 40 Live early edition covering the future, the present and the past of all things Doctor Who, reeling from the season finale there. Just got back from the smallest room in the house. Some of us do take a book in there. Now, it depends on how long we're going to be in there or not. The Master, he's been in for a while, I think. Yes, you do you. Okay, so we're back with a panel here. Let's check out who's here, who's present and correct on Rumble, X, YouTube, and on Facebook. Hello, everybody. So yeah, we've got a little bit more to get stuck into. We've got Charlotte, we've got David, we've got Luke. He's not in his onesie yet. Brilliant.
No. I tell you what, Anthony's garden looks nice. All lit up and green. It looks nice.
Thanks, Luke. Somebody just texted me actually on that point, Luke, and said, "Are you sat in a Khalid kind of room from Genesis of the Daleks?" And I thought you actually, the green was tonally working with the green splash on the back of Type 40. It was a design thing from me. I wasn't trying to do Khalid's from Genesis of the Daleks. What is that? Is it a tank room? What is it? Laboratory? Whatever it is, it's horrific. Stuff of nightmares.
There you go.
That looks fantastic.
We've got a comment here from Pluto in the live chat who says we've got some breaking news. Apparently, casting director Andy Pryor has posted something that sounds like he's leaving Doctor Who. Not really sure if it means much, though. Well, Andy Pryor doesn't work solely on Doctor Who. He's one of the most, in fact, I think he is the most prolific and powerful casting director in Britain. As I understand it, he works for himself and across all networks. But if he is not going to be involved in Doctor Who from now, for whatever reason, I don't know, maybe it could be outside concerns, outside of his career, that would be quite monumental, yeah, because he's been instrumental in casting pretty much everybody, including Billie Piper now 3 times.
And like you said,
we'll find out.
BBC haven't, and we've probably got a while yet, they haven't told us about when Series 3 is happening, what time, or any of that stuff. So
we're not going to get any word on that for quite a while. We've got some words from the departed now 15th Doctor, just as all our information, all our sources told us about this months and months ago. We brought it to you in our 200th edition all the way back in February. And yes, it was and is true. He's gone. Ncuti Gatwa has been publicly thanking Doctor Who fans and viewers in social media posts and YouTube videos and a press release as well. In fact, he's done more rabbiting in the last 48 hours than he has in the entire time he's been on the show. Ncuti Gatwa's got a big smile. He's got plenty of front, a lot of bottom as well, come to think of it. When he was initially cast, I found him interesting, quite charming, an unknown quantity. Now, begrudgingly, after a long while, I come to think of him as just a bit of a dickhead, and it wasn't just the things he was saying, it's the things he was doing as well. Some of the accounts that we had were coming back to us about some of his behavior too, during the filming of Doctor Who in particular. Undoubtedly a talented man with a certain amount of charisma. I think he could have been successful in this role, maybe with the right material and more coaching from people like Andy Pryor. But this is something now we will never know. And these 18 episodes are going to be as it stands for however long. And I did wonder, because obviously the legend that they're putting out there isn't true. I think everybody's quite... I think it's very, very aware that what we're being told isn't remotely how things actually are. But there's a video here that's been put out officially on all the BBC socials and it starts with this this image there of him regenerating. And I wondered if any of you have seen this Ncuti sort of speaking in his own words about being the Doctor.
You know what's going to happen when you get cast. You're like, I'm going to have to hand this baton over once it's all going to come to an end. It's been bittersweet, as I can imagine it's been for all Doctors. No words to describe what it felt like to be cast as the Doctor.
Action.
I think you need to go through the full life cycle of the role to get the full scope of how much it means. It was
exactly, my friend. So you signing on for just 16 to 18 episodes and then buggering off because you don't like the schedule, you're restrictive in some way, or you're getting better offers, or you're waiting to see where the cards land. Yeah,
it's only in my sort of final scenes. And just before that take, I spent a beat like just looking at the console. Wow, this was
yeah, that was yours, mate, and you've completely fluffed it.
What a moment, and what a job, and what a role.
Into the vortex.
Because it's a role that demands a lot of you physically and emotionally and mentally. The actors playing the Doctor are only actors playing the Doctor, unfortunately. We are mere mortals. I would love to have the energy and the youth to be able to do this full time for the rest.
See, I like that energy. I like that physicality. And even that
At the beginning, yeah.
seemed to dry up, Charlotte. That attitude, that swagger, that almost daring do. Yes, he is slightly, well, actually very camp in many respects, but it doesn't mean that he couldn't be heroic. And now, this seems like 5 years ago, never mind a year and a half.
But my knees...
That he got introduced running on the rooftop. Like, that's a brilliant introduction for a Doctor. But then...
The amount of people at Carnley that were coming up to me being like, I'm not a fan of Doctor Who, I can't believe you're Doctor Who. And I remember thinking, admittedly, like I didn't know that this was a demographic that Doctor Who reached. I just didn't know black people watched Doctor Who like that.
I didn't know black people watched Doctor Who like that. How, like what, Ncuti? With their eyes, with their tellies? I can't believe he said that.
Why are you highlighting black people? I'm sorry, I'm going to say what we're all thinking.
It's odd, isn't it? I mean, it's not necessarily. I'm sure he believes everything he's saying, but I can't quite believe some of the words that this guy, this grown man, he's like 33 years old.
It was like this is so cool. This level of representation. It means a lot, and that's beautiful to be able to be a part of that message that like anyone can play the Doctor. That's felt really beautiful, and also it's just great to be able to play a part as rich as that. As an actor, all you want is like good writing and good role, good cast, and that's what this job provides. So it was beautiful to do. Stand-up moments, definitely 60s in season 1, a piano battle with Jinx Monsoon. And just the excitement me and Millie felt about those costumes and going to that time period and V getting cast.
None of this matters to the... I don't feel any of the things that he's noted as a highlight. I mean, I know experiences are going to vary, and it's a very particular experience playing the part, Anthony. But all of this stuff is the stuff. A lot of it's the stuff that wound up the viewers the most.
Yeah, to be fair. I read on X today, and I don't know if it's right, so maybe somebody will put me right in the chat, or maybe one of you guys will know, but did Ncuti finish in terms of before the regeneration bit of filming? But I think was he still, or had just finished recording by the time that the Space Babies had been transmitted? Because I read that online, that he had done all of his work. Okay, he came back in February and did the regeneration, but he had, he'd done all his work before the Space Babies had gone out. It
wasn't long after. I think it was May, late May, they stopped filming, Luke.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was around about then. It's about a year ago now.
Which is to my mind amazing, that you've kind of finished even before you've started, almost before it's even been seen. And like
commonplace in movies, Anthony, but not with a long-running series.
TV, yeah, it just seems. I feel slightly disappointed because the Search on Ruby Road was was good. You know, we had an energetic new Doctor. We'd moved on from the 60th specials. It was in a good place at that point. And I feel slightly cheated that, you know, 2 years of a Doctor who we hardly saw and you hardly got to know. I feel a bit cheated by some of that. And I know
barely in the first season. Sorry.
Barely in the first series.
Yeah.
And lots of comments on Twitter are kind of saying the same thing. You know, there are Doctors that, you know, you want to see a bit more of and to kind of know. And that's certainly true to my mind of Christopher Eccleston, because I don't think we saw enough. So it has that same feel about it. But yeah, he didn't do well in that kind of publicity and what he was saying when he took on the role. And there was some agitation right from the start, wasn't there? Not about the ethnicity of an actor, but about some of the things he was saying about Doctor Who. And, you know, potentially if we to believe some rumors and some stories that he's, you know, walked away from his contract and paid himself out of his contract, whether that is right or wrong, you know, or right, wrong, spoiler, suggestion, whatever, you know, there was potentially more time you could have spent with this Doctor. But
I can understand why he may view it as being right for him, and I very much doubt that the commitment to this role was sold to him in the way that he is now recounting this time on.
Yeah,
Is this from Ncuti Gatwa?
Coming out of this walkway with V in our spacesuits.
Come on, that looks good.
Jonathan Groff in Rogue, stand-up moment.
The worlds I could show you, Rogue. Let's argue across the stars.
The casting crew here have been amazing. It's been an amazing time with casting crew. I've been very blessed to work with two incredibly talented actors, Millie and V, and they are dear friends and will stay my friends for a long time.
See, I believe him now.
Yes,
Why is it I don't believe him when he mentioned the crew, though? That didn't seem very genuine to me. It
was magical to go on this adventure with them. They are so talented and so beautiful and so clever, and it was, you know, we kept each other laughing all the time. Thank you, Whovians.
See, I do like that. I like to see
all
people
the love that you pour into the show itself is what makes it, is what has kept it alive for 60 years. I thank you so much for embracing me with all the warmth and love that you did. I won't forget that at all. The way that I was held by the Whovians, and so just all the love in the world.
See, that's the kind of stuff he should have been saying while he was in the role.
Yes, from the start. From the start, yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
He started off, his first couple of statements were very good. I remember his initial press. He was talking about the legacy. He was talking about the fans. He was it seemed to be knowing of the sort of responsibility and what this role means to a hell of a lot of people who love this show. But then within a couple of weeks, it felt like almost like he became a different person. And suddenly it was, well, if you don't like it, touch grass. Oh, he was talking about certain parts of the fandom, I think in a very negative light, with sort of political lenses. And he was just sort of setting himself up almost to be, well, if you don't like me, it's your fault. And he should have, and that's the worst thing any actor in this role can do. You don't give the fans a reason to dislike you before they've even seen an episode of you on screen. And that's what he did.
I also tire Charlotte, and I think you hear somebody speaking like that. I think at times he seemed genuine, at other times he clearly wasn't. It's very performative, and these statements. There's a statement that goes with it that went up on his Instagram right away, Luke. And I accept that this is now part of the modern entertainment industry. You can see that he hasn't written this. I very much doubt that he even spoke the majority of these words. It's very curated. It's very slick. It's very professional. It's very PR. There was a similar one put out not that long ago. I can't remember who it was, but it was, you know, all these things they read so cold. But if that's the way it's going to be, and that's where we are with culture, I can sort of accept that. But
yeah, sorry, I wasn't laughing at that. Anthony was sending me photos of his garden, and it looks very, very nice. So it's very, very nice.
You've been touching grass. Yeah, so there's that. But how much? I just think that this is such a shame. You know, Jodie Whittaker, I couldn't wait for her to leave. Ncuti Gatwa sort of chipped away at me. All my goodwill and generosity did go in the end. But seeing some of those early clips and seeing them having fun in the workplace and being productive as well, and the genuine energy and connection that was there, I think if only more of that could have made its way through to the screen, we may have had something that was a little more memorable, that could have set the screen alight and could have made a star of him. Because I'm not convinced that Ncuti Gatwa is any bigger star now than he was when he took the role.
I think the one thing that propelled him was Barbie more than anything, and he plays Ken number 4 or 5, and Ryan Gosling wearing the fan-made Doctor Who T-shirt. Realistically, we kind of heard rumblings of why he wanted to leave, something to do with the perfume advert or whatever, blah blah blah. But I don't know. It seems a bit. It does seem a little false at times when. You know, season 1 was not his fault. Sex education overrun, and obviously they had to adapt the schedule, or they would have known in advance anyway what the schedule was going to be like. But you know, they would have had a contingency where you can't realistically introduce him and have 2 Dr. Light episodes in a season. But yeah, sex education overrun. But he was very, very good in sex education as well. Very well liked in that.
So I hear, yeah.
Yeah, it was very, very good in that. But that appealed to probably the demographic, the age demographic that Russell wanted. And you're doing it with Doctor Who, and that's more of a broad spectrum. But if you watch the full video of him, I think it's on YouTube. It's 15 minutes. It's like behind the scenes of that scene of the regeneration. He very much talks about obviously the cast of the crew and to V and Verada. He doesn't really say much about Millie, to be honest. He's only recently been saying stuff on Millie. Someone said he plays the same character in every show he's in. Yes, he does. Yeah, he's just playing Eric. But yeah, he doesn't really say much about Russell. He says one offhanded comment with Russell is stood off in the distance on the unit tower, and that's it. He doesn't really say much towards Russell.
Luke, you've seen how prolific Russell T Davies is on Instagram, and Ncuti too. There wasn't actually anything from Russell either. He moved on very, very quickly with it. You know, Ncuti put up a picture and made a further statement. Here, monsters, goblins, gods, human, eating slugs, invisible brain-altering creatures, evil barbers, conspiracy theorists. You've had a busy 2 years. Well done, and rest up, son. That was that. And Russell did comment on that with such extraordinary times never forgotten. But that's very few words for Russell T Davies. Very, very few.
Well, people were saying it was quite telling that for all the press for last week and all the press for this week, Ncuti was nowhere to be seen. The fact that you had Veradu doing, and like on the YouTube videos, people were noticing when it was like the Bad Wolf. I think they did a tour of the studio. They did quite a lot of these behind the scenes type things. That was Verada, or they had like the Cowling and Ford videos that got released, and it was just so weird that our leading man, the guy who's playing the Doctor, that we've all basically guessed he's going at the end of this, is not doing interviews, is not doing press. And for me, that was telling, incredibly telling, that it's like and this is me, like my conspiracy theory now, it was almost like they didn't want him to be seen doing anything. Like they've given him that video, which is fair dues. He needed to have a video like that.
Also, Charlotte, he's not under contract anymore. As we brought we broke the story here on Type 40 Live. He bought himself out of his contract, so that probably included any commitment past a certain marker, probably the season premiere.
He did stuff for the premiere when they were at that premiere at the beginning of this series. He did,
and he didn't seem like he wanted to be there, did he? Particularly at the red carpet.
No,
couldn't take his coat off.
No, but that's my point. It's like you could almost see in real time that disconnection to me. You could feel it, you could see it, even if they weren't saying it, if that makes sense.
Russell T Davies was on Instagram making a fuss of somebody else. Yeah, she's back. Still can't quite believe they did this, but whatever. So Russell T Davies brought her back, Jodie bloody Whittaker, and he was, there was a picture with her on social media. What a day. Yeah, cheers, pal. You're quite right, Luke. She acquitted herself better than she probably ever did before in that scene. Wasn't worth the price of admission for me. But yeah, a couple of people enjoyed it. I'm not a complete arsehole about this. I'm not going to spit the dummy. But yeah, just as long as I don't see her for another 5-10 years, I'll be good. I'll be fine. But yeah, Russ was straight onto her, and that was that really. Ncuti Gatwa is sort of old news, and it's all about the girls.
I was going to say, Dan, back in the old days in the classic series, doctors meeting other doctors was a real event, wasn't it?
It was
3, 5, and 2 doctors. It was a real event. And now doctors meet doctors and turn up in,
all
and
the
you
time.
see doctor flashbacks all the time. And it slightly devalues that, I think, a bit, in the same way that regeneration now seemingly has no jeopardy, because sometimes it can be a bi-regeneration, sometimes and regenerations happen so frequently, it's not a thing anymore. And in the old series, it was a real event. A regeneration was a proper real event, that you weren't going to see this person that you had. I grew up with Tom Baker, so 7 years. When he suddenly disappeared, you were distraught because you knew that you were never going to see him again, and that was pretty much true until Dimensions in Time. But you weren't going to see that doctor again, and now doctors come back seemingly willy-nilly. It sort of devalues it a little
Anthony, you don't need a plot reason. You can just have some dialogue saying, well, I'm here because of reality.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to disappear within a second as well for no explanation.
Yeah, it felt, you're right, Charlotte. And it felt a little bit like David Tennant meeting Peter Davison in Time Crash. It was kind of a little mini episode, which had no bearing on what was going on at all. It was just like, oh, I want to do a Children in Need special now. I'll just have these two just chatting for a couple of minutes. This is where I was starting to lose the plot. There was very little plot, but here was it being lost at this point. I was starting to lose interest a bit, I have to say.
A picture was also shared heralding the arrival of the new lead, shall we call her, a director's chair, actor's chair, talent's chair with the name Billie Piper stenciled on the back, however they embroidered on the back, I don't know. And Billie Piper herself was right on Instagram too, simply saying a rose is a rose is a rose, and posing for a series of really quite cringe-inducing pictures. But she's smiling, and she seems very happy to be there, be with us. I'm not going to knock this. I like Billie Piper. I'm pleased that she cares enough to come back. I'm trying to be upbeat and positive about this, but it is what it is. It's pretty cynical stuff, and we'll pick it up. We'll pick up the Billie Piper story on the next edition of the show, because there is more. But I am, just to go back to Ncuti Gatwa, as he leaves us, it's this idea that he stated several times now in these promo clips, that, and all of these were given after the fact, obviously after they filmed the reshoots. It was always the plan to do this amount of seasons. Hands up who believes him.
Bullshit.
Yeah.
Well, that's
very evidently not. You think, is it good that he cares enough to lie to us, Charlotte?
But he's just, they all have to follow the party line. And I don't criticise him at all for this, because he's an actor. He can't come out and say what happened. It's very clear that something happened that wasn't planned. Everybody who's watched the final episode I've seen online has said, you can tell that last 20 minutes was reshot. You can tell it wasn't the initial sort of way they were going to go. So he has to have this story. He has to keep the facade up as best he can. But I think anybody who's been following this show or has watched the episode can know this was not the plan. And I think initially he was meant to do at least 3 series. maybe if it really like hit off and he was like this revelation and people loved him, maybe even more. But I think it's very obvious this was not the plan, and they're all trying to save face. But I do have to go now after that, so it's been lovely to be with
Bye-bye.
Anthony again.
He's going, you're going, blimey.
Yeah, with the 10 o'clock crew, so...
I met Ncuti. Anthony, you're off as well. I mean, any final thoughts on these parting words? They weren't his parting words, but these are the words that are going to hang in the air for the longest when it comes to Ncuti Gatwa. Thank you, Charlotte.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, just before I go down, very, disappointed, really. Disappointed that, he didn't do the 3 years if he was down to do 3 years. Disappointed he didn't get to do that. Don't think we met him enough, really, as the Doctor, as already discussed. I don't think he was served particularly well in terms of some of the words he had to say and some of the stories and plots he had to be in, although the second series was much better. I agree with Luke that actually probably his finest hour was his last episode, the first 30 minutes, quite exciting, saw the best performance from him. But what a muddle, what a big muddle. And I think it's going to take a long time to unpick this one. It feels a muddle.
A big old muddle. Thank you both for joining in on this one.
Thank you.
Hope to see you soon. Anthony, you're off to see Beyonce next, I know, but hopefully in between gigs with the Divas, you can drop in.
Yeah,
and
I was going to say, Dan, this is my summer of divas. So Kylie, Beyonce, Mariah Carey, Ray in August. I'm having a whale of a time, and I've still got my bifolds open. So British summertime has started.
That's an expression.
I feel as though, David. I feel as though...
Sorry, Anthony.
I feel as though I'm in a green screen behind me. It's like I'm about to give out some Eurovision results, isn't it?
Yes,
I'm actually just in a green screen, and actually this building behind me is not real, but it is all real, and I need to go to bed. So it was lovely to spend time with you all. Dan, I'll see you very soon.
Good night, everybody.
Take care, bud. Speak to you again soon. The end of an era. Again, guys, he's off. He's gone with a big smile on his face and no tension in the air whatsoever. But you can't have everything. You can't have everything, can you? Okay, we've got lots of people in the comment section. Thank you so much for all of that. Obviously, the page is turning again in the book of Who. We'll probably have a lot more to say about this over the next few weeks and months. Maybe we'll find out more all in due time, but let's know what you think of it in the comments section. The Ncuti Gatwa era of the 15th Doctor, the stories both told and untold. What do you think is the biggest missed opportunity, and what were Ncuti's highlights during that shortest of short tenures?
Perfect. Just the person I need to see. Firstly, loving the outfit, by the way. Really suits your hair. Secondly, the universe is falling apart. I don't have much time to yet. I need to shoot off. I need to do something. But by all means, this is imperative. Watch Type 40. Type 40 podcast is where you need to be. Seguida!
Yes, the season itself may be over. The conversation isn't going to stop just yet. There's going to be a hell of a lot to pick through and to arrive at as well, our conclusions as we process the last couple of months' worth of Doctor Who. I don't think we can call it all new Doctor Who anymore. We don't know what it's going to look like, the shape of it, who's going to be in it, to what capacity, or even when it's going to arrive. But we'll do our best to get our thoughts about it all to you. All those moments, there'll be a lot more to share over the next however long, more panelists to bring into with their takes. And of course, we're eager to learn what you have to say about it over there on YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, X, Instagram, everywhere. So get in touch with us through our social medias and join us over there in the Type 40 Facebook group as well. Be part of our community. Leave us a review if you like on SpeakPipe. along with any questions or predictions or feedback of any kind that you may have. There are multiple ways to get in touch with Type 40 and Type 40 Live, even there, where we talk about all things Doctor Who. We've had a great time catching up here with Luke and Anthony on this edition of the show. Don't forget, if you want some more Doctor Who, you could do a lot worse than hitting up this over there on the Cinescope channel. Written and directed by Mr. Luke Walters, who incredibly is still awake, and you haven't turned a funny colour. At least
No, I'm surviving. I had to make a slight disappearance slightly earlier because I had to go. I had to go be on the big white phone to God, unfortunately.
Some unpleasantness.
Yeah, but all's well and good. We'll be right and right and ready to go very soon. But yeah, no, as I said, it's all about fun, isn't it? It's nice to speak to people with difference of opinions, because if everyone thought the same thing, the world would be a very boring place. So
I always have to say this, but I don't think people believe me. All opinions are welcome here at Type 40. All experiences with this show are perfectly valid. And certainly I know that Sarah, Simon, Charlotte, everybody who's been involved since the beginnings of Type 40 and Type 40 Live, Kyle, Kevin, Norm, everybody, that's the guiding principle of Type 40. We're not any kind of activist or political agitators and actors. We're not on a crusade. We're Doctor Who fans sharing our experiences as a community, as friends, and just inviting you to join in too. That's genuinely all it's really about. Yes, we don't pull any punches with any of our coverage, and we never have, we never will. But that doesn't mean that it's not done in the same spirit of community and of extended family. So sincerely, any opinion, any take is completely, utterly valid and welcome here at Type 40. Luke, I just hope you feel better soon, pal.
Yeah, this is rough. My missus thought, she was like, because obviously we went a bit hard on my birthday. Because we're in Brussels, everything's like 8-9%. You're going to be hungover for our anniversary. I was like, no, I don't get hangovers. And to be fair, I wasn't hungover in the day. Then I ate something, and then I've been bedbound for 3 days now. This is just rough. This is just horrible. But it'll be fine. It'll be fine. It'll all be good. I had a great time anyway. I got to see what the inside of a hotel in Brussels looked like compared to Cardiff. It was fantastic. It was great.
Ian Scales loves you, whatever. Look, check it out.
Thank you. That was good. And happy berated.
Berating Russell T Davies
to the retro Pope himself. There you go.
The retro Pope, he is here. Join us on Thursday, says Gary Akers. I couldn't agree with him more. We're back, of course, on Thursday with the Big Who, including the Big Pope, the Pope of Who there. In the meantime, catch up with all of this content covering the season finale. So again, we've got our big instant reaction show from the Saturday in question, David. We were here, weren't we, within 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes of the episode ending, right to the webcams and the mics with the hottest of takes. And people can play it back. I haven't played it back yet myself. I have no idea what I said, David. Do you remember anything?
I remember I said a naughty word. I do. I have to say, I have never been involved in something so wonderful in all my life. And I'm not just saying that. I'm not trying to kiss ass or anything. But it was genuinely for people just looking at a screen going, what on earth has just happened? It's so funny. It was so funny. It was just, we were all there just looking shell-shocked and just sort of like, okay, analyze that. So it was absolutely fantastic. And if you want to see us all looking like rabbits in headlights, or deer caught in headlights, it's well worth a rewatch just for the sheer look of bamboozlement on all of our faces.
We were.
I was shattered afterwards, though.
We
God
were
knows
beaten
how
and
you must
battered.
have felt. Oh my God, though. God knows how must you have felt. But no.
So go and relive that as well as the playlist of all 8 of those instant reaction live streams as well. And if you've room for any more, the dessert course, if you like, you can catch up with my thoughts there about Billie Piper returning to Doctor Who, whoever she's playing or whenever, for how long. I touch on some of it there in my Dr. Billy video. So go and check that out.
Yeah.
The
Very good
controversy
video, that.
continues. Caption Gate is not going to go anywhere anytime soon. I don't know if this is a stroke of genius or just a massive pain in the arse that we're gonna never forgive him for when the time comes. The comments are still coming in. Apparently, there's more script leaks that have been happening as we've been live, but that's pretty much how it is with Doctor Who. I'm going to try and find out more about that while I'm running around this thing for the next couple of days. We'll be back on Thursday from 8 p.m. UK time with more hot takes, cold shoulders, pet peeves, bouquets, and or pot shots. More Type 40 live with you right there. And then with more panelists and more news, more quotes, and heaven knows what else. So we'll find out when. No, you'll find out when we find out. That's how it works. But yeah, thank you for watching and for listening. Cheers again to Charlotte Shields, to Anthony Weiner, and to David Milling here, and to Luke Walters, the Traveller. The Traveller. most of him made it back, generally speaking. And,
went on holiday and come back 3 stone lighter. It's fantastic.
Well, we hope to have you back next week as well.
Absolutely.
Fully recovered and recharged. Yeah. And that's it for this one. We're going to leave it parked up right there. We always have the time if you have the space here at Type 40 Live. Back in a few days' time with a big Who. Until then, take care. Bye-bye. Bye.